Hello, good morning. How's your day going? I hope that it's not too hot for you. Oh, and the one thing I didn't check, hold on, little wiggle. Make sure my volume's up. Somebody out there, tell me if my volume's up enough. And I'm just waiting for my computer to catch up so I can make sure that I stay in frame. It's always a good thing, right? Say hi if you're out there and watching. Danielle, hello. Thank you for watching. And just while we're waiting, if you'd like to shop, there's my address for my website. And I'd love for you to help me support my business so I can bring you more videos. My computer is being rather slow today. Sorry about that. Give me just a second more. Catch up. And I guess we're going to have some heat out here in Oregon for the next couple of days. Just never a good thing. Says that I'm live. Danielle's there. How come my computer can't find it? That's last week's. My computer seems to be having a hiccup. Let's give it a little second to refresh. And while I'm doing that, here's what I did today. I pulled out an embossing folder. I pulled out some cardstock, and I pulled out some DSP, Designer Series paper. That would be really helpful. There we go. Finally, the computer has decided to catch up. All right, let's get started. So, and you can see I've got the cardstock here, and it's just got my extra bits and pieces. I just took out the bigger pieces and printed up some, or embossed. Don't know if I'm supposed to show you that, so I'm just going to hide it there. And this, so these are the end colors for this year. And looking for the back sheet. It seems to have gone missing. This is the end colors of the pattern paper. And it's nice because you get several sheets of each. And as you can see, I'm showing you the patterns and I can't find my little white sheet that tells me, well, it tells me on here. Here we go. So this is the Designer Series paper for 24 and 2026. And the cardstock. Okay, let's move that out of the way. Actually, let's put it over here. All right. So, like I said, I just stamped some stuff, and I thought to myself, what can I do a little different than just putting a whole sheet on the background, right? So I'm going to set those aside. And the other goodies that I'm using, I took some words from the Changing Leaves. This is online special stamp set. This is one of my favorites. It's in the year of the catalog. We'll be using this in just a second. Stick that over there. And then this is the Stylish Shape dies. And they look like this. And they're fabulous. Because, let's see if you can see that. You can cut something out, like this circle. I believe it was this one. Yes. Cut this circle out, right? And you get the dots on your circle, but then you also get the dots on your negative. So you could use both pieces. Not that you couldn't use this with just a circle too, but it's nice that it has those little stitch marks with it. If you're interested in this stamp set, it is item number 159183. If you want the leaves, Changing Leaves, it's 164351. And if you want the Thoughtful Wishes, which may not quite be in yet, I haven't checked this morning, 163305. They are having a little bit of difficulty. You know, you got to remember, I'm a former Close to My Heart consultant, so they were inundated not only with new Close to My Heart consultants, but also all their peeps. So that's a lot of influx into the company. So they're shipping, they're just figuring it out, and they're doing great. And they're also having, you know, regular shipping issues that everybody's been having for a few years now. So you know, just bear that in mind, that stuff will come back in and you can get your favorites too. All right, so let's get going. What am I doing today? So, getting down to where I was. So the first thing I did, and I've already got this one partially together, is I cut out the pink. I left myself a little border. I like to do that. It's just my thing. And then I put some black ink around the edges. This is that circle that I cut with the little stitch, the dots. I don't know, stitch dots? Whatever you want to call it. It has holes in it. So what I wanted to show you is how I did this. So I took our Stampin' Right, and I took the brush side. Remember, there's two ends, a thin writing one that's a 0.5 millimeter, and then your brush tip one. So you can do this a couple of ways. Let me stand up. So I just put it on the edge, and you get a fine little line, or you can put it a little bit more on the paper and get yourself a thicker line. So it's, again, a thin line, or hold it a little bit more on the paper to get a thicker line. And it just picks up, you know, some of those embossed areas. Easy peasy, right? Okay, so that's what I did for that. All right, let's sit back down. Then, remember, I just started with the scraps of paper that I had. I punched out some things. This was already had some lines around it, and I just added the words. A little note to brighten your day. I did bump it up. I'm going to show you a good way to glue when you've got pieces that are like this. And those pieces are the die from this. Or no, it's a die from the extra one. I love that about Stampin' Up. They give you all these pretty extra pieces that don't necessarily have a stamp image, but that you can use, and they're just awesome. This is a cling stamp, remember, versus a photopolymer clear stamp. Okay? All right. So I took the end off of one side, and I'm going to kind of figure out where I want to put it. I wanted enough on here that I can put some glue right there. So I am going to take my glue and just run a bunch right there. Okay? We give ourselves a little glob. Technical term, don't you know? So then I can stick this down. Trying to keep myself straight. Use your grid. And then I can much more easily stick this under here, wherever I want it to be. And then stick those down. And then pull off my tape from the other side. Make sure, sorry if my head gets in the way, make sure it's nice and straight, or fairly straight, and there we go. Now, if you're worried about that, you can go back and take your glue and just fold these down and hit the tops of these big flowers. Make sure you can see me. Come on, glue. Oh, sorry for the jiggle. And then, of course, you know you get too much, but that's okay. And we're just going to give these a little bit of glue. Kind of like happy trees. They get their happy dot of glue. All right. And then we can just lay those down. Oops. And that's not a good thing to do. Lay them down gently, people. Not like me. Smush. Okay. And this does dry clear, so there is that. Thank goodness. All right, and if you want, I missed this one. You just go back and put that one down. There we go. Now, you can also add, you could have added ribbon in there. We could add sparklies. And I pulled out, thought maybe, I love these, you guys. These are the loose frosted dots. They're on page 122 of the big catalog. Let me make sure I open them right so they don't go flying. And while they may not be the color, I have used them on a ton of things and they just work great. Love my pick tool. So then you can, and they're kind of, well, they say frosted, but to me it's almost like they're iridescent. And you know, I like to do groups of 3. So these are loose, they don't have any adhesive on them. So I'm just kind of floating them around where I want. I'm looking for a little baby one. Come on, show me a baby one. I tend to use a lot of the baby ones, which may be why I can't find one now. I found one, there's one. There we go, come here you. And then we can put a baby one. What do you think? That look good? So again, I'm gonna take my glue, lift that up, put a little dot of glue. And remember, when you're gluing down onto something that's been embossed, you really need to give it a lot of glue or adhesive because it's got all those bumps and ridges, and don't go light on your glue when you're doing that. I don't know if I like that one there. Kind of like it out here better. Let's put it out there. It wasn't showing up or iridescing very much on the black cardstock. So there we go. How's that look? So there's number 1. I've got 3 cards to show you today. And I'm just going to move these around a bit so I can slide this up here. All right, card number 2. Again, I just took, so I had cut this out, so I had a couple pieces left. This was a little longer, I trimmed it down. Got my card base out and said, oh, this would be good here. And this would be good here. And I had this little piece that already had the black around it. So I said, okay. So then I thought, well, it's a lot of pink, not much green. Let's frame this piece. And then I thought, there's a lot of white. Let's take one of our 6x6s and cut it down to fill that in. And boom, a card is made. Okay, and you could use either side. It's just up to you. Would look at that way too. I like it this way because it's got a little more white, so when you put your words in, they will have, you know, just a little bit more lightness to show up a little better. Don't know if that's a word or not, but we're going to use it. All right. So we know we're going to put some words there. We could even put it down like this. That might be nice. All right. But what I want to show you first is how I did those lines. Take a fine writing pen, and I need something there. Let me move this. This is great, but it doesn't slide as easily as paper does. Okay. So this technique, it's all about sliding your whole arm, not your wrist and your fingers. It's not this, it's this. That gives you a much sturdier base. Watch a lot more, not sturdy line, but I'm not sure what to say. And I start, and you don't have to go super fast, okay? Some people, it's easier for them to go up. For me, it's going down. So if you just put a, if you just do that a couple of times, it will kind of show up which way is better for you. Okay, so start. Ooh, I got really nervous. And drag it. Now, if your line kind of goes a little wonky, that's okay. You just go back and make another line and make it wonky. It's all right. Okay. As you can see, I am just keeping my arm steady and bringing the whole thing down and doing it slowly. If faster works better for you and keeps your line straighter, do it that way. For me, it's kind of a medium touch, or medium drag line, if you will. Okay, so get rid of that. And now we've got all these elements. We could go back and do that black again, but I think I kind of like it like that. This is my pondering period. Let's add it on here just because we've got green on green and we need a little distance. Let's see if I can do it on here. No, I'm not going to be able to. I already know. So again, just keep your arms sturdy. And if you don't want to get that close to the edge, you can go in a little bit. It's just, I've been doing it for a little while, so I'm fairly comfortable, although I am nervous when I get online or on camera. So just take a deep breath and give it a whirl. The more you practice, the better you get. If you just can't do it, there's another way. Put a ruler, and there you go. All right, so we did that. Let's see how that looks. I think I kind of like that. And I think I want to do that, but we need a little image, don't we? So I pulled out, where is he? Oh, I don't see him. He should be right here. Oh, I'm missing a stamp set. I don't know what I did with it. Oh, this is just weird. It has to be like right here. You ever have those days? It's right here. You just had it. What did I do with it? It's the, one of my favorites, the rhino. Let me see if I put him away. I don't think so. Yes, I left him over there. Poor baby rhinos, I left him over there. Rhino ready. This is 160959. This again is a clean one. And I looked at my case and found these. Well, the blue's not really going to match. So I thought that we would try some experimenting here. And I brought out the Pretty in Pink and the Shy Shamrock. And these are the blending pens. So there's a light and a dark of each color. You buy them in a 2-pack. And I thought, well, we're putting it on pink. I'm going to cut this out. And I'll do that later, and I'll get the picture up when I get that done. So I thought I would use and show you how I colored this one. Let's see. Let's make sure I stay on camera. So I am going to take, since it's really fine up there, now remember, when you put this down, the longer you leave it, the more it bleeds out to the edge. So if you need to, you can just do some dots, so that way you're not putting much down, okay? Or you can just quickly drag it along. Or what I like to do, see how I just leave, let me show you, if it doesn't bleed too fast. I left a little edge. Let me see, I'm just waiting for the camera to catch up. I left a little white edge, and it will flow out to that because these are branding markers. So again, they're really juicy. So I just leave a little bit of an edge for it to catch up with, because I'm leaving the pen on there as I'm going. This one doesn't matter as much, or that one. Okay, and then it's just coloring in. Let's go around the eyeball, color in the eyeball. And I like to, just like back in school, outline it like you would back in school. And then I tend to not go over when I'm filling in the field. So we're just going to, hopefully, I'm sorry, it's like watching paint dry, I know. Hopefully I can give you some tips on what I do. So we've got our light color. I'm going to go to the dark color. Again, I'm using the finer end. And I know I'm going to want some darker color underneath here. And maybe like back here a little bit. Put a little under the eyes if you want. You could frame it out in a darker color. And then if it's too dark, go back to your light and blend it out. And that will keep it to not be quite so dark. Let's see. I also want to paint the toenails a little darker. And again, those are small, so I am just going to use the dot method because I don't want it to bleed out past the page, and basically one dot will do ya. Isn't that funny? One dot will do ya. So I'm going to go back with the dark, and all these little lines right here, those are just a great guideline to where you put a darker color. So if you remember, any of those little lines is where you can put a darker color. So this is the dark first. So it doesn't matter if you go light first, dark first. It is totally up to you. And I'm just going to make his tail just a little bit darker. And then I'm not even going to, and you can also just barely come up to that darker color to blend it. You don't have to go over the top. That's only if you want to really smooth it out. So I'm just going to kind of go around it because I want it to be dark. Again, remember, the longer you leave it on the paper, the more it's going to bleed out onto the paper. And another tip, don't do it on your cards, on the card that you're working on, because they will bleed through the back, and I will show you that in just a second. You can do circles, you can do lines. It is totally up to you how you want to color it. The alcohol markers are pretty forgiving. I don't know why my throat is getting all froggy on me all of a sudden. And let's see, let's go back and give ourselves just a little bit darker. Some markers are a little bit more of a distance away in their hue. Like a 1 and a 2 would be closer than a 1 and a 3. So keep that in mind. And they don't have numbers on them as to what the graduation darker bit is, so we don't know. All right. So like my gray one, I did the same thing on this one. It's just not as easy to see because this has a farther gap than what this does on the color. And yes, we made him green. I know they're not green, but we can make them any color we want, right? Again, started with the light, add a little dark on those lines, and around the base. There we go. What do you think? So that's just kind of a little bit of what I do. And then, like I said, I will cut this out later, but I just want to kind of give you an idea of how I cut stuff out. Okay, let's get rid of that. Oops, sorry. I'm not as comfortable with those scissors yet, so I gotta go back to the ones that I know for now. All right, so I like to leave a little line, kind of like it's a die cut, because this one didn't have any die cuts. And I always turn my scissors as I cut, and not my, or I turn the paper, not my scissors. And it just kind of keeps you a little more steady. Again, it's a practice thing. And the other thing that I do is I don't have any sharp lines. I make them kind of rounded. That way, again, they mimic a die because they're usually pretty rounded. I'm just moving it around. And if you get too thick, that's a little thick, I can go back and make it a little bit closer. And then when you get up to something that's got some bumps, I just kind of use those bumps or the little tail, you know, pieces, and I just make the circles. Just don't make anything super squared off. Even around here, I'm going to make circles. And you got to follow the eyeballs because you don't want to cut those off. So I just kind of give a little bump for the eyeball. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut this all out, but you know, we're darn near there. So why not watch a little more paint dry, right? Again, it's what you're comfortable with, what your hands will let you do. If not, you could put it on a smaller square than what this one is and just go with it on a square. Doesn't matter, you do you. I like to cut, so at this time in my life, I can cut fairly well, so I cut. So even down to the end, I'm going to round that off. Now I'm going to go back in here and trim this down a little bit more. I didn't like the way that looked. Just seemed a little too, and I'm having difficulty getting started, but that's okay. I just think it needed a little bit more. Okay. And there we go. There is our guy. And we can I'll probably raise him up. Let's see, where's my dimensionals? All right, so let's put this card together. I've got my snail here. Remember I said, when you're gluing this down, make sure you use lots of adhesive for this part, okay? Oh, make sure I stay on camera, yeah. And this is sticky. This is the snail seal. I always want to say snail. And it is very sticky, and there's an even stickier one. Or stronger hold, I should say. Not stickier. Okay, and I left just a little edge. So again, this is just pattern paper, so I don't have to do as much. I can just kind of hit the edges just to make sure we keep it down. But again, still very sticky. So this one, oh, got some, sorry, hold on a sec, got some really sticky on my finger. Okay, so I want to, my card base is not quite square. Okay. So again, I want to leave that little bit. I'm gonna, you know me, I like to look at whatever I can look at to keep it straight. And I don't set it down super hard, so if I have to lift it up, I can. Sorry, I've got all these layers. But I like layers. It just adds a lot of texture to it, right? Oop. And I should be on my little mat thing. Let me get that off of there, because that's gonna cause a little bit of problem later on. This is a little, I call it my shark skin. It kind of feels like shark skin. What I imagine shark skin would feel like. No, I've never felt shark, but it works great to take that off. And let me just see. Here's my silicone piece. That's what I should be gluing on. So that one, because this it'll come off easily, and I don't know why. I tend to go too far over the top or something when I'm using my snail, and it stops. Okay, so let's put this one on. And sometimes there's, you know, when you do your lines, there's, okay, I like it this way. Again, I'm lining up my card on there. Oh, we still have to stamp that. And then I'm going to put this piece on and make sure that your you know, is going the same way, your wood grain. It's going the same way. There we go. Let's put some dimensionals on him. Oh, looks like I had some stamped images on the back too. And I love all this extra bits that we get with this dimensionables. So, might as well use those bits up too, right? And that's probably a little bit much, but you know, oh well. It's here now, so that's what we're gonna do. Okay, and if I can get these off. All right. So this, I kind of wanted to put it there. So we're gonna have to put our rhino up a little bit more. There we go. We can tuck that under there. Oh, I like that. Okay, let's get rid of this for right now. Ooh, and find our birthday words, which, oh my goodness, where are my birthday words? Happy birthday. Hold on a sec. Let me get another stamp set. I was looking at it earlier. Oh, there it is. I'm pulling out all kinds of stuff today. So since we have, you know, a line, I kind of wanted a line. One that would be quick and easy. So, happy birthday, which that's kind of small on there. What do you think? Is it too small? What else have I got? Let's see. Let's see. Maybe I'll put happy birthday inside. And it's a great day on this piece. And then we could put happy birthday inside. And we're probably going to need one of these. So I will add one of these. I'm going to grab a little block and put this on. Grab me some black ink. And I will add a couple of these off camera so you don't have to wait for me. I just want to stamp a couple so they can, you need to, if you're coloring, I like to stamp a couple and let them dry really good, okay? So we'll let that dry. Put that stamp back away. And oh, we need another block. Let's do this one. Again, I like to line it up. It's fairly straight. Let's see how straight we are. It's always good to have a little practice paper down. Sorry, I just realized I pulled that off camera. There. It's a great day. Doo-doo-doo. And put this one away. And then we have happy birthday for inside. And I will take a picture. I'll probably add one of these inside as well. So let's put that in. Okay. And then we can put our words right onto there. Oh, I like that. Sneaks right under there. And again, gotta get used to all this new stuff I have. And this is going on that wood grain paper again, so we need to make sure that we get a lot of adhesive on there. Sorry, I have to stand up so I can go between the ring and the camera and everything else. Make sure I like it. There we go. And And let's see what we want to add to this one. I thought maybe some of these would be good, and I do this all the time, but I want to see if it'll work with these, and probably the alcohol marker. Hold on, let me grab a black alcohol marker. Here's the black alcohol marker with the brush tip, and you can see it better here. I'm just going to color in a couple of these. Give ourselves one of those, two of these. So if you've been with me a while, you know I like to buy clear gems, or gems that maybe aren't clear, but I can still color over the top and give myself either the sparkly or the black, okay? And these are the Rhinestone Basic Gems. They are item number 144220. So we've got that done. Let's get out our, where'd it go? Over here. Our pokey tool, and this time instead of using that end, I'm going to use this end because I'm not sure if it's quite dry. It should be fairly dry. You can always put your finger over it. Yeah, it's dry. And I'm going to pick it up with this and put it down. Again, we want a triangle, and I like to add stuff kind of around my image. And this is a good way to do it because you can see kind of where you're going. Pick up the last one. 1, 2, 3, 3. I try to tend not to line them up like this, but you could go like this. What do we think? Danielle, what's your idea? Could go there, could go there, it could go here, it could go here. Kind of like it there. Kind of like it there. Let's see if Danielle has a comment. What do you think, Danielle? I think maybe I'll do it up there. I'll give you a second to comment. I'm waiting. What do you think? What do you think? While you're typing, because I know I can't type fast, I'll put these away. And maybe she went, whoops. Maybe she had to have a break for breakfast. All right, so let's put this last one down. And sometimes what I'll do is I'll take a picture and just have it sitting there. And then sometimes that's just getting up, not looking at it, come back to it. And it's like, oh, okay, it needs to be right there. So I think I will put it there. There we go. Card number 2. Got one more to go. And I have an idea for it. And I did something a little different. So I took these 2 squares from that same kit. So it's this inner one and the outerest, biggest one. And I put it down on some black paper. And I put this one down and put this one down and centered them, put some washi tape and cut it out. So I got this. Now, remember, these have dots. I also got this piece because that's the inside of that. But these have dots on either side. So then, let me just show you quick. Pretend this is bigger. I put this where it's going to cut, and I put this edge at a 1/2 inch and then cut it. I just went around, put it at a 1/2 inch and cut it all the way around. So that's how you can get a nice, quick, easy square. So I will use that later with something else. I'll stick that aside. And that one will probably be later. So let's pull out a card base. And I had an idea what I wanted to do. So I want to put this behind here. And I got a little word thing. It's just an extra scrap. And then I took out my papers. And I found this one. I thought this one would be nice. At first I was going to cut it at 3. But This is 2.5, so 3 would look really funny because it'd be super thin like that. So I cut this piece at 3.5 and it's still at 6. I should cut that down, but I'm not sure. Do I want a big, like so? Do I want it like that? Or do I want it up like this? This is where you just play. Or I could even put a banner down here. I'm going to put this in there. And what I want to use is one of my favorite stamp images, which is, of course, on the bottom now. This one here. I love this. To me, it is flowers, but they almost look like butterflies. So that's one of my favorite stamps. Pull that out and get a block. So I like to kind of line up my stamp, and then I line it up. I'm not going to be able to see. I line up along the grid line so I know it's straight. That's fairly straight. And bring out my ink. Ink it up. Give it a quick, oh, move all those little bits and pieces. Give it a quick, oh, see, there was one on there. And it would have worked fine. Yeah. All right. Make sure we have no bits on there. Good. And how far is this going to go? So here's a way to tell. Put it on like that. So you kind of want to center this. So I'm going to bring my scratch paper in, and I've been just sitting there letting the ink dry. So I'm going to moisten it with the hot breath of my, or I can just do this, but you could just put some breath on there. Got a little spot in the middle that's, there we go. And so we will do that. There we go. Wash it off. And be careful when you pull these off, because it's got that little sticker on this, on the foam. You want to make sure you don't leave the sticker behind. So I just kind of look around to where it's maybe not quite all on center and pull it off that way. And I don't like to leave them on the blocks too long, because they get really adhered to that surface of the block. And so then it's a little harder to get that off. But you know, it's all the learning right now. So there we are. All right. So I know that I want this on here, and I gave myself a little extra room so that way I could kind of go around wherever I wanted. Let's put some adhesive on here. Again, it's really sticky stuff. I'm using a lot because I got all that. Look at that. It's really sticky. And that's how I got stuff on me, because be careful with that. The embossed image has a lot of adhesive in the groove and on top of the groove. So remember that. And my hands are really dry. Wow, I'm having a heck of a time. Okay, here we go. Doesn't matter which way you want your lines to go. That's why I was pivoting. And I've got some little goobers on my fingers. Okay. So I'll set this down anywhere I want it. Just gently so it adheres. And then I can put some more adhesive on this part. Kind of sandwich it in. I didn't get a whole lot. There we go. They're sandwiched. All right. Get rid of that. I'm going to put this down. Which way do I want it? I think I like the flowers. So here's another thing. It's longer than what my cardstock is. So I like to line it up and put a little bit there so I know about how far I need. Okay. And I'm going to use my grid. And if you want to check, you can turn it over like this. And this is 3.5, so we're about 1/4 and about halfway on either side of the other. So I'm just going to kind of eyeball and use my grid, and oops, it's nice if it's straight. Again, I don't put it down very hard until I make sure that it's straight, and then we can cut off the excess with our snips. And if you're doing a lot of cards that you leave at 5.5, you get all these little strips like that. So I'm thinking you could do a nice card with all these little strips. So we'll stick that back in the card base for another time. And we've got this pretty on here. Oh, I wonder if I should do a line. Should I do a line on there or do something else? Here's another thing I like to do. Again, I'm going to go, but I'm just going to go in between where the images are. So it gives it kind of a little bit of an outline, but not a lot of black. And this might not look too good, but we'll give it a whirl. And it's usually best to try it not when it's glued down, but you know, oh well, right? It's always a way to fix it. You can always go back and just make a solid line if you want. And sometimes a little shorter line like this is a little easier to do than a big long line. So if you want to start out just doing little short lines, be my guest. You do you. Okay. So that's not too bad. It just adds a little bit. I'm not sure if I'm loving it. Let's put this down. Again, let's get everything squared up. Sorry, I'm going to come over just a little bit more. So now what I'm looking at is here and here, kind of all the way around. This is probably a little too big, but let's see, what words do we want to use? I got several things here. Let's see what this one has. You make life better. I like that one. Let's see if it'll fit on my, yep, that'll just fit, that works. Get a block. Again, I'm going to pull it off where you can't see it so I can line it up good, since I don't have a lot of wiggle room. And bring out my ink pad again. Do my little test. Good. And I think, oop, look at that. I just got it inked up. I'm going to cut off part of it anyway. So we will put it down here on this end. Okay. And again, make sure you find where you can peel that up, that you don't lose that sticker. Throw that back in my box. Cover that. Wash off my fingers, because obviously I had some ink somewhere that was transferring. Okay, so I am going to put that off a little bit, and I want to do a little pennant in the bottom of here. So there's a couple ways you can line it up, put a dot. I just kind of, I've got an inch, so I just eyeball it and I cut up to about where I want it to be, so that gives me a pretty good indication. And then I cut from this point to the center line I made. And then I like to turn it over, because if I go from this angle, I'm kind of cutting across like a lefty would, and this way I'm cutting the same, and I don't get that little bit of a bow in my cut. And this one did bow a little bit, so I'm going to trim that off. Okay, there we go. So we've got that. And I'm going to put some, where'd it go? Do you ever do this? You just, there it is right there beside me. That's always the way. So again, I'm going to give myself a little bit of a, where I've got it. And then keep it straight. Put it where you want. I want it all in there, a little bit out. I think I want it there. Then I can cut off the extra where I boo-booed. And nobody will ever know that my finger got in that ink. Yes, you can laugh at me. All right, now, what kind of pretties do we want? How about some purpley? These are the In Color Shimmer gems. There is some flat gems that don't have the sparkle, but why would you want not sparkle? I guess maybe sometimes for a die card. They are 163781, and I like to, this is the little flap that went over the front, and I just tuck it in so that way I get rid of that sticky, and I put it in upside down so that way it's just easy to get out, and then I store it this way so they're not all falling out all over. And we will add a few of these. Now you get big and little, you get 2 sizes. Sometimes you have 3 sizes, so get in the habit of using all 3 sizes so you don't use up one. Okay, and then you'll use your product better, right? I'll put that one there. Sorry if this video has gotten a little long. And no, I'm not coloring those in. I could, but I'm not. Put one there. It's a lot on there, so that's, and sometimes I'll just hold it up like this. And that gives me a little better, and I'm looking at, you know, where my triangle should be. So let's just put one there. And then we can slip these back in, so it's easy peasy. Of course, not on camera though. Easy peasy. Easy peasy. The gems are not listening today. And I like to put my cap on. And there we go. So today I have shown you kind of my brain workings of how I go about making cards. And I love making cards and showing different ways to use items. So made a frame, bits and pieces. You could basically, anything that you have, give it a try, right? Why not? I think I might go back and add a little bit heavier of a line around that one. I just don't like the way that's looking. And that's okay. You can do that. Anyway, thank you for shopping with me. Thank you for watching the video. If you would like, share, and subscribe on YouTube, it's Jackie Bloom, and my numbers are 3117 on YouTube. And that would really help me out. You can like it on Facebook here. It is on Facebook Live, and then I put it onto YouTube. So I'd really appreciate it if you could go to YouTube and help my channel out. Thank you again so much. I hope everybody has a great weekend. It's fair week for us, so I will be at the fair trying not to get burnt. As always, which is your favorite? 1, 2, or 3? Bye.